guys, it's Amanda from AmandaReads, and today I am coming to you with an original tag video. This tag is called the Lifetime Milestones book tag. Basically, I took all of the milestones we are supposed to reach during our lifetimes and came up with books to represent each of them. Now, for this video, I do tag Emma from Lions and Tigers and Books Oh My, Mary from Mary a Bad, Audra from Audra Manzon, and Thais from Brazilian Bookish Girl to do this tag video. Now, if you're watching and you want to do this tag, please feel free and comment below with the link to your video so I can watch it. I would love to. For the first stage of our lives, we are born and we are new to the world. So for this stage, you need to find a book that is the first book an author wrote. For this I have Promise Not to Tell by Jennifer McMahon. Now after a few years we become children and we are fun-loving and playful, so for this stage of life you need to find a book that was enjoyable and just really fun to read. For this I chose A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. It was not a chore to read this book, it was so much fun and I really enjoyed it, so it went perfectly well with the fun, enjoyable child stage. Once we are children, it is time for us to go to school. So your job is to find a book where the setting is at school. For this, I chose the Mallory Towers series by Enid Blyton. All 6 books are taking place at the school Mallory Towers. Next up is the teenager stage. Now, when we're teenagers, we get all angsty and we have lots of attitude problems. So for this stage, you need to pick a book that had a moody main character. A perfect example of this in my mind would be Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. Harry is a quintessential angsty, angry teenager in this book, and it is the perfect book to represent the teenager stage. After the teenager stage, we become adults, and we have to start dealing with grown-up problems. We have to think about money, jobs, relationships, all those things that we didn't have to think about as kids. So for this, you need to find a book that centers around adult themes or content. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be books about adults, and I am choosing for this The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Now, this is told from a young girl's perspective as she is growing up, but it centers around poverty and being hungry and homeless and all things that children shouldn't really have to be responsible for. It's their parents' job or whoever looks after them. But in this case, she was really having to figure out how to survive herself. Once we become adults, we try to find careers, and the hope is that we find careers that we are happy in. So for this stage, you need to find a book that contains a job that you would love to have, like your dream job. And so for this, I am choosing the short story Where There's Smoke by Jodi Picoult. Now, this story centers around a medium, and I'm obsessed with mediums, and I think it is such a cool job. It is something I would love to have the ability to do, and so that is why I picked that book. It is expected that we will, at some point, fall in love and get married. For this, you need to find a book with a very powerful romance. I chose Nights in Rodanthe by Nicholas Sparks. This book really stood out for me. I read it a few years ago, and it's about older people falling in love, which is not, I feel, such a common theme in stories. And so it was a really powerful plot to me. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes someone with a baby carriage. So we are now at the children's stage where you have your own children. So for this, you are going to choose a book where the main characters are children. Try not to pick teenagers and young adults. Try to find a book where the main characters are children. For this, I chose The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Again, the 3 main characters are 3 young child siblings, and it chronicles their adventures over the course of 3 books. This is a super old book, if you couldn't tell. This was my mom's when she was little, and she got this when she lived in England, and it's so old. But I love it. One of my favorite childhood books. Fun fact. Once you get through the midpoint of your life, you go through a little something called a midlife crisis. And this is when you act completely different from how you usually act. So To match this stage, you must find a book that has a crazy, unexpected plot twist. And for this, I chose Roses Are Red by James Patterson. This is a book in the Alex Cross series, and you find out who this crazy killer is at the end, and it is not who you expected it to be. This person is not supposed to be a killer. Now, once you are older and you have children and they grow up, they hopefully have children, and you reach that epitome grandparent stage where your family has just become enlarged and full of love, and you are just surrounded by support. So for this, you need to find a book that has a strong family in it. Now, they don't have to be the main characters, but they are crucial to the story. For this, I chose Twilight by Stephanie Meyer because I feel like the Cullens are a really good example of family. They're not technically blood related, but they do things for each other that they technically don't have to do, but because they are so tightly bonded, they do it. And they stick together through all the books in the series, and I really thought that they were a good example of a strong core family. Finally, at the end of our lives, we do pass away, so this would be the death stage when it is time to say goodbye, and this is where you need to find the last book in a duology, trilogy, series, whatever it may be, the last book. Now, in many of my videos, I have ranted and raved about Firefly Lane being my all-time possible favorite book, so I had to pick Fly Away. This is by Kristen Hanna, and it's the last book in the Firefly Lane duology, and I was so sad to see this. Well, I was excited to see it because I didn't know it was going to happen, but I'm just so sad to say goodbye to these characters. So that's the Lifetime Milestones book tag. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Bye!